One of the great discoveries I made in first service was to ask how many people in first service have ever Twittered? How many people in this service have ever Twittered? I love it. Okay. I am with my people. How many people have heard about Twitter? Yes. Okay. I'm with my people. I'm with the people. This is so great because we've all heard about Twitter. I have never Twittered. And here's my story. I have a life. Why should I be Twittering? I have a life. So, last night I was introduced to Twitter. And I say this because we're making New Year's resolutions. And I want to say that I feel like sometimes I really don't belong in this world. And the more technologically advanced it becomes, the less I feel I'm part of something. And I need to get over that. I am part of this world. We make a contribution. Your love, your wisdom, your grace makes a contribution. You don't have to Twitter to do it. But there's a sense, a cultural sense, that if you're not on that page, you're not with it. And in a way, we're not, because we are moving in evolutionary leaps and bounds to get connected globally so that any message that's off course, that says there's not enough of, there's poverty, there's this, there's that, and that we are not the very presence of God, can be immediately downloaded and all of us can get the message in 5 seconds. It's an amazing thing that's happening right now. We truly are in a newer testament. It's absolutely phenomenal. So my first experience on Twitter, Kevin Reed introduced me to this little thing, and I knew, but you know, it's more interesting to me to be present and to have an observer self that watches me, my resistance. I'm interested, but I'm afraid. I'm interested, but I know I'm not going to understand it. I have a story going while I'm participating. I hope you can relate to it because this is what really does happen. Is somebody Twittering me? I'll be sending messages like this next week. We'll all be on a little screen. Anyway, so he says, okay, have you ever been on Twitter? No. Are you willing to look at it? Is there cheese over there? No. Yeah, sure. I'm willing to try the Twitter. And Marty, you were there. You bared witness to it. And Marty's, yeah, all right, we'll look at Twitter. Chris, where were you? Let's get the cheese. So anyway, so here's someone who's very techno-savvy and is introducing us really kindly as a person to say, look, don't be in your story. Here's what this is. You can only have 140 characters on Twitter. Whatever you have to say succinctly, you have to think about, and it's very present in the moment. And you can't go over that number. You can't go rambling on. Church might be over for me. No, you just 140 succinct and to the point. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting, didn't know that. And then he says, well, the thing, and this is how he presents it, so it becomes quite attractive. He says, it's an offering. It's an offering. I'm like, okay, now my ears are perked up. What does that mean? Well, you let people know how you feel, what you're thinking about, what's going on in your life. You offer it, and you just put it out there, and then anyone can accept that offering. And he said, it's not like you have to make an agreement. If you just make an offering of something, and then people find you. He said, it's like imaginal cells. I mean, they're just out there. They're not developed. Yeah, this is the future. It's like butterflies have imaginal cells. When they're making their transformation, there are cells that are not regular butterfly cells that kick in, so they can be transformed. They're cells that weren't there before. They're called imaginal cells. Get on the computer and check it out. Imaginal cells are one of the biggest phenomena that can stretch your mind beyond belief. But anyway, here he says there's an imaginary audience. When you're Twittering, you don't know who's out there. You don't see them. You're not connected to them. You don't know, but they're there. But they're out there. And if they resonate with you, they somehow find you. Now, I mean, this is, if you really think about a newer testament, There is an audience. We've been out here for so long, listening to the message of peace on earth, goodwill to all people. We've been Twittered 2,000 years ago. We were imaginal cells in the mind of God 2,000 years ago when we were Twittered. And we are now getting the message that there is something possible that wasn't possible before. Now, when you're on the earth plane, when you're in form, you have to take possibility and make it real in form. You have to have a body to express your spirit. You have to have something to express. You need form for expression. So right now, the form has come as twittering, as computer, as new language that we're actually trying to manage because we are so globally connected and we are so awake and aware to something deep within us, and we know we are not going to survive unless we move forward in our evolutionary process. It's not going to happen. So how does this translate to us? We're between New Year's and Christmas. And New Year's is usually a time of new beginnings, resolutions, a time you think, okay, I want this to happen in my life, I want something new. Let this talk be a reminder to you that something new is in your life right now. I have to say, I feel like one of those people in a culture who doesn't jump on board. It doesn't mean I have to do the technology, but I need to be aware that there is a message here on the planet for us right now. Global, interconnected. God's presence is on earth where we are. Peace is possible. There is a wake up. A wake up. There's going to be a collective wake up. We wake up. Everybody gets it at one moment. Twitter, Twitter, Twitter. And if you don't get it, there'll be a note to you saying, did you miss the point? You know, people Twitter while they're barbecuing. I'm barbecuing, but they're in the present moment. Do you get it? They're in the present moment. They're not talking about something else. They're in the present moment. When we are in the present moment, God is with us in the present moment. Every single time we diverge from that idea, we're off into something else. So right now, I think the Christmas message and the New Year's message for yourself is thinking, what's possible in your life? What is it you're dreaming of? What do you want to express? What are you called for? What are you being called to? More love, more compassion, more wisdom. What is it you're being called to? And whatever that call is, you've already gotten the call. You're just getting the technology to make it all happen for yourself. Not to get discouraged. Because a lot of times we get discouraged. I think I just don't fit in. Everything's moving too fast. Think of the stories we get going. This just isn't working. Everybody has this but me. Whatever it is. Oh, they have such talent. That couldn't work for me. We have a ton of them, a ton of them. You have to develop some kind of observer self so that that conversation can actually stop and you can get into the present moment, into this moment. What's happening right now, God? What's happening right now, God? What's happening right now, God?